So guys, I'm going to speak about Web3 and AI and how they live together. But, well, first of all, who knows what is Web3? Can you raise a hand? Okay, we have some people, but we also have some people who don't know. And I will remind you a little bit. But first we'll start with why actually you should listen to me and trust of what I say. I'm working in the field for, well, almost a decade. And I started to make with the guys from the Ethereum Foundation and was quite close to what is happening in the crypto community. But my passion was always the adoption of the crypto technology and how to apply that with the businesses, with the big businesses, because my previous experience was working with the enterprises. And for many years, I was trusted advisor for many big companies. And at the same time, I'm advising startups. And many of them are crypto startups. And also for 3 years, I'm running blockchain professionals community. And you're all invited. That's absolutely free. You will have the QR codes at the end. But basically, I do have experience, and I've built quite some of the crypto projects and also Web3 projects and brought them live. And they are live like today, and yesterday, and that's not a rocket science to bring something live. It's much more difficult to keep it live 3 years. But Web3, starting to our topic. Basically, you probably all old enough to see the evolution of internet. And probably you haven't seen the first generation of internet where there was internet of information, where we were all mostly sending each other the copies of the data, putting the copies of the data of the new websites because there was only invented www, sending copies of text, pictures, videos over the emails. That was the internet of information. Quite fast, that's migrated to the internet where the devices are connected and started to be Internet of Things, where quite some of the devices, applications within those devices, like on a corporate level, later on the personal level, started to exchange information. And now what you mostly experience is Internet of Information and social internet, where the majority of the information in internet generated by the social networks. And with the rise of the crypto technologies, there was the third evolution. And that's internet where we can send not really information, not really device information, but the real money. That's what blockchain technology, what crypto technology allows us. Instant money sent over internet. And there appeared to be possible to think about the next evolution of internet, because when there was like internet version 1 and internet version 2, there was a tremendous change in ownership and behavior. Because if you will think who now owns majority of the data you have in internet, you will know the answer. Because as I said, majority of the data, those are the information from the social networks. Those are the Facebooks, who on the Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, Amazon. And what is behind all of this? You think that that's your data. You think that it's your search when you do the search in Google. How do you know on which data set Google does the search for you? Can you manage that? Can you at least know? Does it really searches for you? Have you ever feel strange thinking, okay, what information is given to me? Because that's actually pushed to you. And yeah, I'm not speaking about like the Facebook messages, because those I'm sure that you know that it's uncontrollable. It shows you what it wants to show. The same with Google. And the same with all the data feeds you're getting. Because, as you can guess, behind all of this is the money decision. Who pays most is published the post. And none of the end users can control that. And none of the users can know about that. Also, those companies who you know manage your information and sell your information. Did you ever earn on your Facebook posts, on your LiveJournal posts, on your Instagram? Most likely not. But this information is being used and being used heavily. And there are a lot of companies who are earning on that. Have you ever thought, is it fair or not? It's actually the Web3 movement and the idea behind Web3, which like the Gavin Wood is the author of that and after of the idea. And the Gavin Wood is a person number 2 in the Ethereum network. It was Vitalik Buterin and Gavin who invented it. And basically this guy was the first one who told that why don't we think about the new internet which is more free and more fair, where the content creators can be paid fairly. And the movement had started. He laid the Web3 Foundation, and there were quite some of the followers of that. And actually now, there are enough Web3 solutions. There's an architecture, and I will show you this soon. But basically, the whole idea about the Web3 movement is monetization of the content. Fair monetization of content, fair ownership, and also controlled information distribution, where you're able to choose your information sources. Basically, currently, a lot of people speak about the freedom when they say that I want to have a freedom to say something and to be heard. Not that many people think about the freedom to choose information sources, because currently you all are obliged to watch what internet decides to push to you. You do not manage what you see in internet at all. Most likely you don't even realize that it's being managed and crafted for you. And basically the Web3 movement is to move away from that, make that much more free and bring you the real freedom, how actually the first version of internet was much more fair than it's currently happening. And that's the architecture. And that's the architecture which exists already for like 5 years. And I must say to you that, well, I'm working in the field, so the backend layer and the middleware are perfectly decentralized. And decentralization is the key. Because when it's centralized, the company who owns that manages everything and does whatever they want. Sells, and you know, the temptation to earn more money, it's always there. So if you own something, you're like rather sooner than later starts to monetize that. And that's appeared to be like the pure money question. So, and when it's decentralized, that's much more difficult because decentralized solutions, they're motivated by the incentivization. And that's appeared to be much more free and self-regulating market. And here, like, I must say that the architecture still has issues, but the issues are laying not at the level from 0 to level 3. We can now decentralize infrastructure, we can decentralize the foundation layer, we can decentralize backend perfectly, including all the storages, all the persistence. We can decentralize middleware. The problem still exists with the fourth layer, with the front end. Because how do you get your front end? There are 3 ways. Browsers, you know who own browsers. App stores, you know who own this, the same parties, most likely. And devices. Again, slightly wider spectrum of the companies, but they are in general the same. And there is no way to get to the content for the end user escaping those routes. And currently, like, I'm very actively working on the movement of the creation of the community browser, which will include the necessary Web3 protocols, include wallet connects, include possibility to augment the web layer, like rendered HTML, so to give possibility to change already created web pages, not letting the owner know about this. that will help to combine the information sources. That will help people to personalize and craft the information sources. And we are thinking a lot about architecture, and architecture is already created, and we are discussing a lot of like where to get the money, but not to get the money from the VCs and from the mentioned companies, because it's going to be easy. But the idea is to get that on a community basis. But so I think the idea of the Web3 is more or less clear for you, and the state also. Despite all these, I would say, layer 4 challenges, the Web3 movement is up to the speed, and there are a lot of applications. There are a lot of dApps, decentralized applications. There are a lot of decentralized solutions who are already on the market. There are quite a lot of the really huge companies who are using Web3 technologies right now. Now retail companies are thinking that it's the way to get the wider set of the users. So the majority of the retail companies, and we're working with the major fashion brands, the major food brands, implementing Web3 solutions for them. Because the new architecture brings a new business opportunities and brings new technology opportunities. For example, like self-sovereign data integration, self-sovereign identity. These all are parts of the Web3 technologies. And they bring a lot of fruits to the business and being implemented. So despite all challenges and despite all the maturity of the technology, which is growing and growing, we have enough movement and enough, and I would say up till last summer. Because last spring and last summer, there was the time where, the latest version, well, not the latest anymore, but the, I would say, good and usable version of ChatGPT came available to the public and to the businesses. Where within 2-3 months, we realized that it's marvelous, that it helps us to cut the cost on all the text generation procedures, all the events, all the marketing, all this blah, blah, blah is done by ChatGPT much better and faster than the people. And we started to use it heavily. We started to use it for everything, for all the blah, blah, blah generation, and we started to test that for the code generation. And also in my company, which is a big system integrator, we also started to generate the code. And we understood that despite all the issues and something, it's still clear economical benefit. Because even if it stupidly makes mistakes, with the lower level developers, you can reach the mid-level, and the speed is enormous because it types for you. And it gives you the code snippets, it helps you with refactoring, it helps with a lot. Yesterday I was giving a presentation of how to speed up the blockchain delivery with AI. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who are speaking about that today. But it's clear, it gives you benefits. And how business reacts? Business reacts immediately, we implement that. But there is a massive, I would say, issue of that, or interest of that. What data is being used for this wonderful functionality which speeds up your business? Most of the data, and I would say all of the data, which is used by large language models, which we are using, like exploiting Copilot and ChatGPT, is the open data in internet, so-called free data. Your posts in social media, your open source code in GitHub, it's all your data, which was carefully scraped through the internet, and companies like OpenAI started to earn money on that. Don't you want to call for your 5 cents? Can you do so? And you can clearly see how this wonderful idea, where a lot of businesses immediately jumped into that, come into the conflict with the free internet, with the desire and quite speed up movement to give your money back, to the wonderful situation where Precious AI scrapped everything, mix everything, and sell it. And there is no way right now to find out whose data were it, whose code were used for the recent code which my company is generating and selling to those clients, whose wonderful Facebook posts and Instagram pictures were used to the recent marketing information of Adidas. They're also using AI, and they're earning a lot of money. Don't you feel fake? Losing something? And that's where a lot of people started to think, come on, we can see the clear and even higher business interest in AI usage and the drop of an interest in Web3. I started to think like, well, we need to do something because we still want to have the good internet. We still want this movement to continue because, I mean, it's spring already. If you will look to any of classical social media we are using, there were the Web3 analogs. There were mines for Facebook, which are the same, but they're paying you back for the people who are looking at your posts. There was a Web3 version of LinkedIn. There were a lot of solutions. I've been once creating a map for the people who were asking for the community, saying, okay, if you want the fair internet, those are solutions for you to use. And for each type, for the Spotify, for YouTube, there were Web3 solutions, which actually paying back to you. And I see how the interest during the summer dropped because of the majority of the clever people said, okay, AI, that's new hype. Less interest to the crypto technologies, less interest to Web3, moving to AI. And we are staying now at the kind of like dilemma. We still want a free internet. We still want a flexibility. And at the same time, we want to use AI because we actually want it. It makes us much more efficient. And the question is how? How to do so? And first of all, there are already ways, and I'm going to speak about that. I'm not going to tell that I have all the answers, but let's clear where the pillars to find the answers. And I'm actually was setting up this speech because I was hoping that there would be mathematicians here. Like I was really hoping about the conference and about the cool developers and the people who are in mathematics. And at the end, I will explain what is the current problem. Like the same as we solving now in Web3, and a lot of architects are thinking about the decentralization of front end. The same is for merging Web3 and AI technologies together. First of all, what we need? We need to record the content ownership. And for that, the NFT technology, non-fungible technology, can be used. And that's a crypto technology. That's already quite some at the market. You probably know that associated to the digital collectibles and the pictures and bored apes and the CryptoPunks. But at the same time, that's the way, and you are developers, you are architects. And basically the NFT technology, NFT protocol, that's the protocol which enables self-sovereign data integration. You put the piece of unique digital token with the attached utility information in the wallets of your customers or application customers. And they carry that securely. And then at the moment of the access to something, their wallet being questioned, do you have this NFT from that collection and can read the utility parameters from NFT? And by reading utility parameters, they can adapt, they can pass them to backend. That's a peer-to-peer, it's a front-end part, and that's very secure part. We are working with the crypto wallets. And basically the data, the utility data from the NFT token can be passed to the application, and application can be tuned to work with that. That's there are two very good specifications around this. One is self-sovereign identity. Since not this year, but the previous year, August, that's W3C standard. I really urge you to go there and read the standard. That's the good one. We spent a lot of time bringing that live. And associated to that, verified credentials. And that helps you to put all the identity information to the users' wallets, to the users. Do not store PI. Do not be compliant, do not have compliance issues with GDPR. Everything at the user side. You're not responsible for that anymore. You're not protecting this data anymore. And the same approach, absolutely the same approach. If you are putting in a token information not about identity, but just data, you get to the self-sovereign data. And that allows you to mark the pieces of the content. And that doesn't put the additional load to your persistence. It's at the user side. And okay, if they want to get paid, or if they want to have something on that, okay, they carry the data, or they carry the tokens to the data. They identify that this data is yours, this information is there. So, and there are enough solutions. You can check those are the just links. It's not the only links. That's the most easiest and most easy to understand for you. There are a lot of links already for the various content management systems, for the content tracing systems, where you can claim that you are creator of the certain content. And that's already existing, that's already working, I would say, for years. And then that's the first pillar, marking whose content is it, and managing this. The second pillar is decentralize the data sources which are being used by AI. In this approach, we appear to be less vulnerable and less dependent from the single data source provider. Remember, that's always weakness. It's always disadvantage where there is a monopolist in the market. And where centralized solution is used, you're always risking that they will decide something which you won't be able to control. So, well, I understood that pretty much ago, that the decentralization is the way to the more fair usage, more free and more, I would say, safe. And very logical and very move and idea to decentralize the data sources which AI is using as a basis for their processing. And luckily, that's already exists in the market. You probably heard about the data mesh and the decentralized data mesh. And well, that's existing concept, that's existing architecture. We already have solutions, and hooray, we even have those solutions as a basis for AI. That's another project, which is like CryptoGPT, where this idea of the decentralized data storage with monetization means parties who store their data, they're being paid for those data used. It's still not the content owners. That's still the party who stores, who keeps the database, yes. But it's another step and another pillar which helps to move to the right direction. And the last one, and this is a step which is not here. This is a step which we desire to have. But unfortunately, if you know how the neural network works, the addition of the extra vector information towards the small parts of the neural network makes that very heavy in computation and also operation which is not possible to run in parallel. If not, means our computation power currently wouldn't give us a good answer. We will have to wait. And that's not what is acceptable now. And that's what requires the solution. That's what I'm, for example, looking for the brains who can think about that. Because it's clear, if we will be able to drag for the neural network the source of the information being used at the very beginning, just clear link to the original data, first of all, it will help us to eliminate the situations where neural network is dreaming, and the people who use that, you've seen that. Sometimes it dreams and gives you the answers where like looking and say, like, come on, where did you get that? Explain me, please. And ChatGPT says, oh, sorry, I cannot find the sources of information. We will eliminate this situation, and also we will reach the situation where we know who incorporated, like who we need to say thank you for the answer which is being generated. And yes, the fair monetization would be we still paying the neural network for its work, but we are also paying the data owners for what they did, the content creators for what they did. And that's important not only when we're speaking about the languages, it's also important when we're speaking about the pictures, because sometimes you clearly see whose style that's given you. And sometimes that's not the style of the people who died long ago, and you're thinking, are they being paid for that? We know that not. So it's very relevant for all types of the information we are working with. But currently, as I already said, we cannot do that technically. And that's probably the last step and this last mile. The same with the L4 for the content delivery. If it would be solved, we have a chance for freedom. We have a chance to choose our information sources. And we have a chance for the better future, because like, look what is happening in the world right now. That's in a majority, because you are giving information somebody paid for. Not because you choose to look at that. Not because you're friends and something that... Now you're just victim. You're consuming what is being pushed in. And, well, the conclusion is simple. If we want a brighter future, the only way is to work on that. And I showed where there are still gaps. And that requires quite some of the effort. And as you can understand, this effort can hardly be motivated by the big business, can hardly be easily paid, which means that the funding for that can be obtained mostly from the decentralized networks and from the community sources. And probably, and most likely, that's the future. And for those who can, or who want to join the communities, those are the QR codes. One is blockchain professionals, another one is Thunderbolt community. Like blockchain professionals is a community who exists for like 3 years already, have tons of the information. If you are not expert, or if you are expert, or if you are just interested, you can join and you can easily access the content. We have like YouTube and everything. And for Thunderbolt, it's just a new one. There won't be a lot of content. On 29th of November, we have the panel discussion about what are the technology innovations and why that's, like, why different sort of the people are investing in this, their time and their effort. And today we have in our office, in IPAM office, we have the meetup about that and speaking about the innovations. So yeah, questions? Do we have any questions?
All right.
Dead silence. Any feedback, guys? Anything?
All right. Then I really want to thank you. I think it was really interesting to see also what you can do with NFTs beside like having these images and apes on the blockchain. So one question I would have for you is like you have mentioned the browser and the UI, which is mainly a problem. So are there some kind of browsers which are currently like under development or like in the open source which can be used for something like this, or is it just like really early?
Well, it's like we do have architecture, and we like starting as a community, we started to think who can be the creator of such kind of browser and who can be interested to pay for that. And we understood that the only version to have that independent is to develop like you must understand, to develop a browser and to develop like Web3 browser with all this integration, security, it's mostly, nobody is going to develop the rendering of HTML. Get that from Chromium, that's free, or from Mozilla if it's necessary. So like, let's exist. But all the nasty parts of this is a wrong domain, this is this is a too dangerous domain, this is a too dangerous content, it needs to be removed there. And there needs to be added the integration to the wallets, there needs to be added the augmentation of the layer, there needs to be added the integrations with a lot of protocols, much more user UI UX, because currently, the work with the crypto wallets is troublesome. You have to sign every time, and that's for people who tried that, it's an uncomfortable user experience. And basically, the way how it can survive in the current world is to obtain money from the community sources or from the decentralized network sources and develop that by independent company who doesn't have will to maintain that, doesn't have will, give it open source, develop that professionally, which means that we are looking for the good professional developers because, honestly speaking, startups develop a browser, bring it to the market. Do you really believe in that? No. Otherwise, it will take too many years. So it has to be professional developers. And so I'm working for the professional developers. I'm working for EPAM. And I discussed it internally. I said, guys, can we do that for money? And we said, yes, we can do that. If somebody pays, we don't care. We write the good quality of the code. We give a good architecture. We can do that just for money. We do not have any interest to maintain it as our corporate product. We don't do products. We do projects. And we can do that as a project and then give it back to the community. And then the community would be able, look at Ethereum and how many years life and how technology excellence is there. They won't be able to do such a big project. But they won't be able to support that and to evolve that farther. And that was the idea, and we actually filed the Ethereum grant, and we were discussing that for quite some, half a year. But you must understand that all the decentralized organizations, they're being managed by themselves. And that's the tricky path, because we went through several levels of, it's a really good proposal, and with money that was difficult because they were more investing in DeFi solutions, and we didn't get money at that moment. And we started to talk about other networks like Near, like other big crypto networks. At the same time, the information gets in the public, and we understood we can easily get money from VCs, but in this case, it won't be independent. And so we started to talk with the hackers organizations, with all the social organizations who can fund that. We still didn't get the funding because we're an enterprise company. We cannot make easily the contract with the organization, it has to be 3 layers, and that's legally it's complex. But we are moving there, and by the way, we still, we created architecture. We created the first attempt at architecture, we created architecture and estimations for MVP, and we also discussed with a lot of with the startups, because, for example, web augmentation, there are companies who did that, and we are going just to integrate them. And we were talking to the wallets, and again, if we are going to develop that, there should be a company who is going to bring it to the market. And there are players in the market who can do that. Consensus can do that easily. And they will benefit from the marketing that, we will just get our money, and the community will benefit from the presence of the browser. At the same time, probably if you would be more experienced people in audience, you will say, what about Brave? There is a crypto browser, which is currently in the market. But when we're speaking about the Brave, there is a company behind us, and this company, what's their goal? Their goal is to earn money. That's why they put the Brave token into Brave browser. So there's not that much flexibility there. They're not very willing to work with all the tokens, with all the wallets, and with everything. They just want to earn the money. So basically, at a certain point, there won't be difference between Mozilla and Brave. They're just using the much more, I would say, modern technology, but at the same time, they're not a community-owned. The store, which is more or less the same, and again, there is a desire to make money behind. And if you will look to the rest of the browsers, you know them well. There is definitely the same company who owns half of the internet. So currently, the story is, there is no browser at the moment. It can be created, and that's not the fortune money, at least the MVP version, and then probably the bigger money would be to bring it live, to achieve the mass adoption. But if it would really work and give you the financial benefits, we hope, again, the people being moved by money. So if you will get the revenue back from using the browser, I guess there would be easier mass adoption if UI, if everything would be done properly. That's a challenge.
So if any of you know somebody who has some money to spare, just go to Sasha and maybe you can help there.
My issue is I cannot accept this money.
Yeah.
Like, again, putting bonding curve page, I would get this money within 1 day. Like, but, I mean, I've been asked many times, Sasha, why didn't you fund a startup and do that? Because you can get money easily. I'm like, guys, I cannot develop that. It has to be the company who will develop that. And to shape the startup who will get the money, then bring them to the palm. It's kind of, I mean, it's not what I do for life. I'm explaining people about the crypto, about blockchain, and I'm explaining people how to build the solutions and where the business and how to do that perfectly. And again, money management is not my thing. So that's the challenge, because like that's basically the problem, because there are enough people who will bring their 5 cents. And honestly, we need even less than million. It's easy from the whole world and explaining it like this. But those 1 million get from public, like you have the legal aspect. And you have to get an account, to transfer it from one account to another company, have a contract. And that's not what I do.